Hey everybody, how's it going? This is the first video in a new series where I'm going to basically review, give some quick thoughts on random cards using the random card feature on Scryfall. And yes, I will just throw it right out of the bat. I did get the idea for this series from Strictly MTG or Strictly Better MTG. I watch that channel pretty often, and I've actually since he started doing those videos, I've watched pretty much those videos exclusively like every day. I've always been a fan of just reviewing and ranking cards or comics and stuff at random. I've been doing kind of random comic reviews like that for years. So I figured, let's do this. I do love Magic, and I have a lot of history with it. So I will basically, I'm not going to give rank. I'm not going to give ranks. I'm not really big on like giving a number to cards. So I'm just going to basically tell you what I think about them, share any stories I have about them, any experiences playing the card. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna go from there. Also, I am gonna probably, and sorry, the screen is not gonna catch the whole card. Looks like, but so first off, we have Assassin's Creed card, 3 mana for a 3/3 assassin. It's flying in first rank. Tap 2 untap artifacts you control, deals 1 damage to each opponent. So obviously it looks like this is meant to be in a blue-red artifact build. It looks like this is meant to be an attacker. I don't know. I feel like most artifact blue red decks probably don't care that much about having a 3/3 flying first striker. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't think it's that great. I don't think it sees. I don't think it sees play in the archetypes that it's looks like it's designed for. Next up, we have Spark Double. Spark Double is 4 mana for a 0/0 illusion. When it comes into play, you may have it become a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except with a 1/1 counter on it. If it's a creature, it enters with it. And so if it's a planeswalker, okay, so if it's a clone that gets an extra counter, or if it copies a planeswalker, it gets an extra loyalty counter. I mean, this card is pretty awesome just for the fact that it clones a planeswalker. I don't know if there's too many other effects that do that. There probably is nowadays, but I think this is like probably the first one. And 4 mana is 4 mana is the average rate for a unconditional clone. Like a clone effect that doesn't have some crazy drawback or speculation, restriction. So yeah, pretty solid, very solid. So far, these cards haven't been ones that I really have any personal experience with. We have Horde Hauler, 4 mana for your vehicle, trample, deals combat damage to a player. You create a treasure token for each artifact they control. Interesting. I mean, I'm not a big fan of cards that care about what you're like that get more powerful based on what your opponent has. So I don't really like the that whole treasure artifact. But I guess in Commander, there's always going to be somebody you can hit that you can make a few tokens off of this with. So I guess in Commander, it's not the most terrible thing ever. Trample, crew, I'm not really a huge fan of vehicles. I just haven't like. It's one of those things that's been around forever. For that, like it's been around for a while now. But I just my old timer MTG self just still can't really get behind it, and I really don't like to play them. I try to avoid them in drafts unless it's like an absolute just powerhouse of a rare. But like when it comes to like uncommon and common vehicles, I almost never pick them up in draft, which is might be a mistake on my part. Next up, we have Blood Mist. This is 4 mana for an enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains double strike. I mean, feels like a pretty basic, feels like a pretty basic, like draft filler card. Though I don't know because a lot of times you don't really want to spend 4 mana on an enchantment that doesn't actually do anything right then and there. But I mean, if you're playing like an aggressive deck in a draft and you're on curve, you play like I don't know, you play a 3/4 or something on turn three, and then turn four you play this, and all of a sudden you're going to be hitting for six. So I mean that's pretty awesome. So yeah, I feel like I would pick this kind of high. not high, but pretty good draft. Next up, we have a Lord of the Rings card. That is Gristis Colors. It's a saga. It creates a 3/3 black raft token for the okay. For each opponent, gain control of the one target creature that player controls. I mean, I don't know. It seems like it does a lot of stuff. I mean, it's you're getting like you get three threes within 3 turns. You get to get a couple ring Tempest triggers. I don't know. I just don't have a strong opinion on it. I mean, maybe in Commander it's easy to play. Next up, we have Daybreak. This 5 mana. I've actually played with this card quite a bit on Arena because I have a mono white. I have a mono white deck in Arena that the Commander. It's a life gain deck, and the Commander. It's a brawl deck. The Commander is Helia, the one that's an enchantment god creature, and so it obviously cares about devotion, and so I end up playing a lot of white. I end up playing a lot of white permanents in that deck. So this guy comes out super easy in that deck, and he's just a big flyer that is almost always just 2 white. It doesn't have late game, so it's kind of counterproductive. But the deck, just because of the way the deck is built, it ends up being a devotion deck as well. So plains, it's a snow covered plains. I mean, yeah, snow covered plains. Snowlands have a place. They're really cool. I like that's one of the reasons why I like Commander and Brawls because these sometimes it just gives you a reason. Sometimes there's just that 1 or 2 spells that are worth putting in your deck, and just because there are like cards that are just so good that you don't mind playing snow cover lands for that one card. Like what's the like obviously Skred is a famous one where you just if you have snow covered mountains, just play them. But also like the newer one from Kaladesh, the one that's like basically Frostbite. I think that one's always worth. It's always worth just putting snow covered mountains in for that. Um, there's a green in my mono green bear deck. I have a couple cards that care about snows, so you know, so I use them in there. Next up, we have this. This is a green white fetch land, basically a poor man's fetch land. It comes to play tap. You pay mana. Well, it comes into play tapped, and you have to tap 2 and sacrifice it. So it's definitely not a great fetch land by any means, but it is a fetch land, and it also can just tap for generic if you need that. So I do like the flexibility. You lose a lot of speed and effectiveness, but you also gain that flexibility. Next up, we have Sword of the Squeak. I hadn't seen this one before. So obviously this is a homage to Sword of the Meek for 2 mana. Quick creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control with base power or toughness. Whenever a hamster, mouse, rat, or squirrel you control enters. Okay, I mean that's cool. I mean this feels like it's probably just an auto include in like your any commander decks that are built around rats, squirrels, or any of the creature types here. Um, what's this going for? Oh, that's pretty damn cheap. I haven't really had a lot of experience with Boom Burrow yet. Like I've done maybe 2 drafts of it on Arena, but I'm not really a fan of that. I'm not really a fan of it in draft, which is weird because traditionally I love tribal sets, but I'm just not really a fan of it that much. Forest, I'm not even go over Forest. Tribal Flames. Okay, old school card here. So I love red cards. I love red burn, but I can honestly tell you I've never played this card because I don't like playing multicolored decks. Like 2 colors is kind of my limit. I mean, honestly, any if I have a reason to any excuse to play a monocolored deck, I'm taking it. I've always been that kind of player. I like the consistency of it. But so I will go 2 colors, but like 3 colors, no. I don't. I hate playing more than 3 or 4 colors. Definitely not 5 colors. And Tribal Flames, I mean, obviously you're only gonna play it. Obviously, it's only really good in a 5 color deck or maybe a 4 color deck. But yeah, um, it's a cool card. It's just I've never been enticed to play it. Next up, we have the Outrider. He's from Time Spiral. It's got flanking. And then it has the 0 and the next 1 damage that would be dealt to him is dealt to a target creature you control. So I mean, he's hard to kill, but at the same time, your opponent probably doesn't care about killing this that much. Um, Most of the time, they're probably just going to let the 2 damage go in for the most part until it gets down to the wire. I just don't know like what you would play this in. It's a fine card. I mean, I'm sure in Time Spiral draft it was playable. Did I ever draft Time Spiral? I think I did, but I don't think I played this card. That was way back in the day. I do remember drafting Planar Chaos because I remember that set was just wild and it was just all over the place. Next up, we have Eldritch Evolution. This is 3 mana. As additional cost, you sacrificed it. As additional cost to cast it, you sacrifice a creature and you search your library for a creature card with X or less. Where X is 2+. Okay, so it's just basically there's a long line of these type of effects. These like I don't even know what you want to call them, but there's a lot of these like cards that basically just ramp you up creature wise. You sacrifice a creature and you go get one that costs us a little bit more, and then you just kind of move up a ladder. So that's it, and there's a lot of them now. I mean, you have Greater Good, you have or is it called Greater Good? The one with the wolf or whatever on the artwork. You have that one. You have Birthing Pods, kind of the OG one. Survival of the Fittest is kind of like this. What's the really old school one? Primal. So what is that card called? I can't think of it now, but it's got like the tiger in the artwork, or the cheetah in the artwork. But this is okay. I mean, I do like, I like the flavor. It's a card about evolution, and it's literally letting you evolve your creatures from, you know, cost. Flavors on point. All right, we got one of the ultimatums. Man, so these are the kind of cards that a lot of people just love. A lot of your casual kind of Timmies really just really get into these cards. And I just don't care. Like they're just every one of these is literally I literally read it as almost completely uncastable and just like win more. And I'm just not a fan of them. What does this mean? I haven't even looked at see what this one does. Let's see, choose 5 permanents you control. For each of those permanents, you may search your library. It's just, yeah, it's just very, very win more. Plus, this isn't even good in Commander, like because you can't play it because this literally cares about copies of cards. So I can't imagine. I doubt there's any deck. I doubt there's any 60 card deck that actually plays this. Next up, we have uh, the creep one is. I love this artwork. He's so creepy. I just like this is 2 mana for 1/1. You add a colors mana. It's just a very very basic card. I think is this the one that's been reprinted more recently and like as a draft card like all the time? Maybe it is. No, no. I think there's like a 2/2 for 2 or something, or a 2/1 for 2 that you can filter mana with. I'm not sure, but this is pretty good. Just a two mana colors mana dork is not bad at all. Next up, we have the steed. I love the artwork by the way. This is cool. The colors are vibrant. I like the design on this horse thingy. 3 mana, but I mean the effect sucks. Yeah, it's just not a good card. I don't even know if it's really that great in draft. Updraft. It's 2 mana for an instant. Target creature gains flying. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn. Yeah, This is from a weird era in Magic where I guess they were afraid of giving you like for whatever reason cards that instead of cantripping, which is very common nowadays for a card to do something and draw you a card. You used to get a lot of effects like this where you would draw a card but on the next turn. So it's just an interesting. It's interesting that was used to be the design philosophy behind cantrips, and then at some point Wizards was like, we'll just give them the card now. But it's probably easier to keep track of it, honestly. Wait, did I really just get this same card again? But that's amazing. I mean, I know you get duplicates pretty quickly because I know like strictly MTG's only done about he's only done maybe I think he's done like 50 or something, but he's even early in his videos, he was getting duplicates. But this is crazy that like 2 cards away, or was it 2 or 3 cards? I got the same as that card. That's just that's not random, guys. A mountain, man. I feel like I'm about to get all 5 of the basic lands here. All right, we got to end this video on a decent card. Okay, cool. This is a great card to end the video on because I love goblins. Okay, very, very, very just classic goblin card. Uh, it's just a 3 mana 1/1 goblin tutor. Not doesn't do anything. I mean, it's such a iconic card. You're pretty much gonna always play this in a goblin deck, like in like a casual goblin commander deck or whatever. You're gonna always play this. It just there's so many goblins. There's so many goblins that have been printed with so many different effects. This is just always gonna get you what you need. Um, and plus, I'm not really a fan of this actual artwork, but I do love the portal sets because of because of this. I wish Wizards just always did this. The sword for the attack, and the shield for the defense. I think that is just so cool. It's just a little flair to the card design that I've always loved. Man, I wish they would do more cards with this. Wizards, if you guys are watching, which I know you ain't, but if you're watching, you guys should totally do a new retro treatment with this for the attack and defense or attack and toughness. All right, guys, that's it for the video. If you like these videos, please let me know. Share if you have any opinions or stories with any of these cards. Please feel free to share them. And